Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy TTT back again in this video with a review of the Marvel Select Black Panther action figure. What we're looking at here is the front of the box with some nice usage of color theory using the contrasting colors of blue and yellow to really make it pop. Side of the box has a picture of Black Panther just looking really cool, and if you have this next to your other Marvel Selects on a bookshelf or something, I'm sure it'll look very cool. Yo, check it out, and here's the back of the box with a picture of Black Panther looking like he's jumping right out at you. And behind him is a nice shot of some palm trees and Wakanda behind him. Wakanda forever. And here's a biography of him, but that's quite long and I'm not going to read it in this video, but feel free to pause if you want to read it. And then down below, it's all that legalese and stuff like that. And hey, so here's the Black Panther figure out of the packaging. Mr. Panther here looks okay. I don't think that it's Marvel Select's best performance when it comes to creating and capturing the likeness of the character from the film. My first issue with it is that he seems way too thin. Black Panther is one of the thinner members of the Avengers, but it's not like he's Spider-Man thin. And also that head sculpt is just a wee bit too small. And if they made it a little bit bigger, this whole figure would feel so much better. Also, I'm super bummed out by some of the paint issues on this guy. The detail on the silver portions of this figure is just nowhere as clean as I'd like it to be. There's not too much paint, but what there is disappointing in my eyes. There are far too many slips, in my opinion, that really bring down this figure. And then the biggest letdown, which I'm sure everyone and their dad is talking about, is the error on the face, the way the nose works, and the paint. The paint is far too low. It's supposed to be on his nose, but here where we see it, it is below his nose. And I'm not sure if everyone will know that. For me, it's one of those things where once you know it, it's so difficult to not realize that the error is present. I feel that overall the sculpting work of this figure is successful, and we have some nice outlines and textures that we can really sink our fingers or eyes into depending on if you play with your toys or if you just leave them on your shelf. Yo, let's check out the articulation on this guy. The head moves up and down and it rotates. That's what you get from a figure like this. But yo, let's take off the head, pop it off. So you can see that on the bottom of the head is a ball joint. So that's the articulation you're going to get from this guy. At the shoulder, it pops out a little bit so you can move it up just about 30 degrees or something. And then you can rotate it a total 360, which is awesome. And really, if you don't have a figure that can do a 360 these days with that shoulder, I don't know what you're doing. And at the bicep, there is a rotation that rotates his whole arm, and at the elbow there is a double bend, which is a little challenging at first, but when you start moving this figure more and more, it loosens up. At the wrist, it rotates, and bend it up, it works fine, but bending it down kind of feels like it wants to pop out, so you can put in that second set of hands. There is a diaphragm joint at the waist, and it feels really smooth, really nice. You can get a lot of movement out of that if you want. Not as much as I'd like moving it forwards. We're not getting a lot of movement there, which is a little bit of a bummer. There is no rotation at the waist, which is again another bummer, but with the character design, it kind of makes sense for them to not include it, although they could have probably put something in right there. At the waist, his legs move up and they move back, and then in an archaic form of articulation, the legs do move out and he's able to perform a very nice split. What do you think of this articulation? Are you like me and you feel that it's very dated, or are you fine with it? Also, at the thigh, there is rotation, so you can rotate that thigh there. And at the knee, there is a double bend, which is cool. And again, kind of like at the elbow, you're going to need to move it a few times before it starts moving easily. It's very difficult on the first couple times trying to move it. At the foot, there is bending. It bends very far up and very far back, which I like to see, and there is rotation at the foot, so you can get some nice angles. The backdrop for this figure seems to be a diorama of the vibranium mines from Wakanda, which is a nice sculpture for the vibranium and just a simple backdrop with some detailing in the paint there if you want. I'll zoom in so you guys can look at the great paint job that Marvel Select always knows how to do. But the issue I have here with this backdrop is that it's so small compared to the figure, and there's no stand for the figure or anything. It's just like this, it just feels like a small backdrop behind the figure, and I don't really understand how one would display the figure with it, because it's just so short and there's nowhere for him to stand on it. I just don't really get it. And then he also comes with 2 fists so that he can punch some of his greatest enemies. So are these hands difficult to swap out, or are they relatively easy? I'm gonna say that they are on the relatively easy side because you can swap them really smoothly and they go in nicely. And for those of you that love scale comparisons, here you go. Here the figure is compared to a bottle of water, the Marvel Legends Spider-Punk, the Marvel Select Winter Soldier from the comics, and a Mattel WWE Sheamus figure, which I think the Marvel Select end up being most in scale with. And you can kind of tell that it kind of works with Marvel Select, but it's not really there. And I think if that head was bigger, you could definitely see it working much better with that scale, because it's too big to be Marvel Legends, but it's still feeling a bit too small to be Marvel Select. And it's just not a water bottle. If you're wondering about height, this guy comes out to about 7 inches, so do with that what you will. Yo, and let's check out the width for no reason. It's about 3 inches. Literally never gonna do that again. So let's cut to the chase. What do I think about this Black Panther Special Collector Edition action figure? I'm gonna say overall it's a pass. And it pains me to say that as a big fan of the Marvel Select brand, but I think that this just totally pales in comparison to what you get with the Marvel Legend for $5 less. This figure retails for about $23 or $25 where you get it, but the Marvel Legend is about $20, comes with far better articulation, in my opinion, much better detailing in the costume. It comes with the same hand accessories and an unmasked head with face printing technology. So this, it's really sad to see, because Marvel Select has always been a great alternative and often makes up for the $5 difference. Where in this, you can't really do any poses with it, with the stand that it comes with. Don't get me wrong, you can get poses out of this guy, but for $5 less, you can get so many better poses out of the better looking Marvel Legends. And it's wild because so often the detail is in the Marvel Selects, but that detail is just missing this time around. And it's just far too skinny, the head's too small, and that paint on the face is really bothering me now that I'm finishing up with this review. So in my opinion, as I said, this is a major pass. It's an upsetting release for me, and hopefully in the future we will see better releases from Marvel Select as we have seen in the past, because this right now is a black mark on their record of solid figure releases. So do you own this figure and agree with me or not agree with me? Sound off in the comments of this video. And I'll catch you guys next time in this wasteland abyss that is known as YouTube Toy Reviews. See ya.